That was a quick one. Holy cow. Well, hello,
Very quick. Hello to everybody.
see,
Hi,
oh,
everybody.
people in already.
Yeah,
You can say your name, and today I guess we're talking about hoodoo versus voodoo. Can somebody start while I share out?
sure.
Okay.
Um, I'm William Becker, and with Metaphysical Insights, I'm in the west coast of the U.S. And Annette,
Yeah, I'm Annette. I do Shadows and Lights and Freaky Friday on the
okay,
Simply Spooky Network. And I'm from Manchester, England.
fantastic. I haven't been to Manchester yet. Um,
You're not missing anything, William. Give it a miss.
oh,
Give it a miss.
okay. And for everybody, this is the first time we're doing this show this way, where we've got some of our various hosts from the Simply Spooky Network coming on, taking turns. And so um, enjoy the ride as we make it up as we go along. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Annette, do you want to start out with the topic, or do you want me to, or whatever
You
works?
start off. You start off, William, and I'll follow after you.
Okay. If anybody has comments or questions, put them into the chat, please. And our chat master and master
Oh,
wizard
where'd
behind the
Nettie go?
scenes. Oh, we lost. Okay. The voodoo or hoodoo is working.
So,
Or in reverse. That's so weird.
uh,
Anyway,
where'd
here
you
she
go,
comes.
Matt?
What? Have you kicked me off, Eric?
You did. Huh.
We'd like to hear from people who have experience or understanding of hoodoo and voodoo. Um, None of us are practitioners, and I'm trying to think. I don't think I know anybody that practices either of these. I do know a few people who know more about it than I do from other practices. But basically, um, they're similar, but they're very different. And I have a definition kind of as separating the two from the Santeria Church of the Orishas. And would this be a good time for me just to kind of read this off? It's a
Sure.
little long, but not too bad. Um, Voodoo is an African from the traditional African religious practice of several tribes, some of whom were rivals forced to survive and depend on one another under slavery. Haitian, um, oh, sorry, this is really mixed up. Anyway, under slavery. These tribes included the Fon, Yoruba, Congo, and even elements of the native Taino population, which were the Native Americans in Haiti at the time. These people united their practices in an effort to survive and created a ritual order, a regelman, to honor and give each other's tribe spirits their moment of worship. So these practices were also influenced through synchronism with the French Catholic Church. So you have a combination of various elements here. Evidence of this can be seen in the use of Catholic saints' images to represent spirits honored in voodoo. The law spirits of voodoo are composed of the Rada Loa, the voodoo, and the Orishas of the Fon and Yoruba people. I'm sorry, I don't speak the languages. Also, the fiery spirits of the Congo and Taino and modern Haitian people. And the Guide is the spirit of the dead. There's several other here. Haitian voodoo does have an initiated priesthood, but its initiation is not a requirement for participation in the religion, and a vast majority of practitioners are not initiated.
Got a question.
Magical. I'm going to skip over that. Louisiana voodoo is different from Haitian voodoo. It is more of an amalgamation of the religious and magical practices found in the southern United States. These include some of the Loa found in Haitian voodoo, a strong presence of the Catholic saints, and elements of southern folk magic like gris-gris and a few other things. And this is not a reglum in the same manner as Haitian voodoo, and there is more of an emphasis on self-made voodoo queens like Marie Laveau, and I've actually been to her house, from Louisiana, and has a strong connection to spiritualism too, which I thought was interesting. And it shares very many magical techniques with hoodoo, which is Southern folk magic, but it's not the same. Okay, let me find the hoodoo piece. Basically, hoodoo is a set of spiritual practices and traditions and beliefs that were created by enslaved African Americans in the southern United States from various traditional African spiritualities and elements of the indigenous botanical knowledge. Practitioners of hoodoo are called root workers, conjure doctors, conjure men or conjure women, and root doctors. Regional synonyms of hoodoo include a variety of things. As a syncretic spiritual system, it also incorporates from Islam, which is interesting, brought over by enslaved West African Muslims, because many of those people had already been converted to Islam by the time the slave trade had come.
Wow.
And like I say, its main focus is on folk religion, and it's not a religion in the same sense of voodoo, because there isn't really a hierarchy. It's creating a process of creating power to work with issues, basically. Money, health, finances, all kinds of things. And it's not worshiping. It's more like we might consider with tradition or something, in that it's practical application of the work, instead of a religious application. And that's a longer than I meant, confused version. One of the sources I read was a woman who converted to hoodoo, and she said it should not be practiced by anybody who is not of African descent, because part of it is working with the ancestors. And we don't have ancestors that were practicing these traditions and weren't from Africa, at least not within the last 500,000 years. So I can understand what she was saying. I don't know if she means only people whose families came over as enslaved Africans, or people who moved over as free. And we get people moving from Africa every day. So I don't know just what she thinks of that balance.
It's just very cultural specific, isn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I guess it could make sense. Now, do you guys know of any cases where really this takes off and the practice is showing results for people?
Not
Either
that
of these?
No.
Yeah, I don't really either. And I've heard of cases where, with voodoo especially, um, victims will be drugged and they'll be in a state that looks like death.
yeah.
And then they'll even be buried sometimes and then dug up shortly after by the master who drugged them and then can give them the antidote, and they become basically zombie-like and is enslaved. Has nothing to do with magic, has nothing to do with actually being dead and then alive and eating brains and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
it is a form of slavery. And I read something that seemed like it was in a newspaper a few years ago about a man who escaped it and broke free and
Usually.
came out in Florida as somebody who had been a victim of the practice. I don't know how real that was. It made sense when I read it, but since we hear so little about it, I don't know just how real that possibility is.
Yeah, it's all basically, it's all like I said, trance and ritual in it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you do read of the odd stories that but it's very few and far between that you ever actually hear anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And most of the time when we do, it's in questionable press or from
Yeah,
questionable sources.
yeah,
Um, I'm
yeah,
very much somebody that likes verifiable fact.
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah. Now, do you have it? Do people practice it in England?
Well, not as well. I suppose that they should do. I mean, we've got rich African culture here, so I should
Right.
imagine, yeah.
Mm.
But like, it's probably all kept in like you say, in the culture.
Okay. Yeah.
So you're not. It's like closed communities, aren't they? You're not going to read about it.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
just
wasn't
the odd
sure.
thing every now comes through. I mean, from cultural practices and things like that you hear in the newspaper. That's sort of shocking to us.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like that their culture. But that's the only time you're ever going to read about it.
Okay. Yeah, and from what I've seen, they're both basically pretty benign for the most part. Institutions,
Yeah,
like any religion or spiritual practice, they can be used for positive or negative
yeah,
reasons,
exactly. Yeah,
including high church to no church to you name it. But I want to learn more now.
I know, right?
Yeah. I did you come up with more?
Well, I was reading on Mary Laveau, the
Uh-huh.
I don't know how to pronounce this, Cyril, Queen of Voodoo.
Okay.
And well, you said you went to see her house, and she said that's one of the most well-known figures in voodoo. Born in New Orleans in 1801, she was a free woman of color, powerful voodoo princess. She was said to have had healing powers, have gifts to the poor, or gave gifts to the poor, sorry, and led spiritual rites. So apparently there's a lot of racism against it too. So
mm,
Yeah, I would think so. Although New Orleans in those days was a really fascinating city. 1801, I don't think it was part of the United States yet.
well, Lorna said
I think
something.
France still owned it. Um, it's right about the time that the U.S. bought the Louisiana Purchase from France, but I think it's a little before. Oh, this is
Yeah, and that years ago, there was a young boy's remains found near the Thames. Is that how I'm pronouncing it right?
Thames. Thames.
Okay. Where it was thought there was some voodoo kind of ritual practice.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You hear
See, that's
about
the only,
that?
And then Bry says, "Hi, Bry."
that's the only time you're going to read about things like when they sort of find things like that.
Mhm.
And I don't know everybody,
Wow.
everything I've seen and everyone I'd ever talked to, human sacrifice was never part of it.
Yeah. Exactly, because you see, I suppose they assume. A lot of
Yes.
people assume it's something to do with that. It's probably nothing to do with it absolutely at all.
Yeah, exactly.
And apparently there's a Japanese voodoo, Oshi nu, I'm going to butcher that name, Tokimari.
Yeah, my Japanese is worse than my African languages. Oh, this is the one.
Yeah.
I can't read that. I can't even see it.
There was a young boy around 10 years old, missing his head and limbs that was dragged out of the Thames in the late 90s. The forensics decided that this young boy's body parts were used to practice of hoodoo.
And that doesn't make sense to me.
No, because hoodoo is very. It's very. It's more helpful to the community, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah,
It wasn't
that's
then.
my understanding.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And
And
so
it
if
isn't
there-
a sacrifice space either. I
No.
don't believe. I mean, it's creating things more than the destructive, from
Yeah.
what I've read.
Yeah.
But I know voodoo does chicken's blood sometimes and a lot of alcohol. I think whiskey.
Could be. No, voodoo does have animals that have been used.
Yeah.
But that's different.
Yeah.
But again, I don't ever hear of anything
Yeah.
human sacrifice wise, except out
Yeah.
of B horror movies, you know.
Yeah, and that's probably that's mostly the satanic type of thing anyways, I think.
Yeah, and even with that, I mean, Satanists get a bad rap too.
Mm.
A lot of Satanism has nothing to do with worshiping Satan. It has to do with a certain amount of just free will, do as you wish, but take responsibility for your actions.
Exactly. Yeah, that is, yeah.
And Lorna says the only thing we hear about really are voodoo dolls from the films.
Yeah.
Now, William, when you went to visit the house, her house, did they have all her old stuff in it?
There was a lot of stuff. I think it was a museum. Now, remember, this really was 53 years ago. I was 14.
Okay.
So it's not like it's all fresh on my mind.
Yeah.
And it was part of a 9-week trip around the States. So it was fascinating. I can't tell you what I picked up or anything at all because in those days I wasn't tuning in or turning on or whatever, and I was with family and we were there enjoying. I'm sure I was the last one out of the house, as always. I tend to be a little slower in museums and such than at least than my sister. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I've been guilty of that. I went to the London one and spent 5 hours in there.
Oh, the British Museum or the Museum of London?
It was the British Museum in London. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I love that place.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Isn't it?
William Southey says, not sure why Satanism is being lumped in together with voodoo. The two are very separate. Yeah, totally agree with you, William.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they are. No, it was only mentioned because of
Sacrifice.
the dismembered body of the boy that we were talking about really doesn't fit hoodoo and voodoo like it was accused of,
Yeah.
and so somehow that brought up as a possibility, which also isn't really true.
Holy cow. I remember when I did my research of hoodoo years ago, I remember reading an article about a lady who screamed on a bus and police called as a man got on the bus with a plastic bag that was dripping blood. When the police were called, the man had a human head in his bag and told the police that this was being used in medicine. Hoodoo also has a darker practice that claims to be healing. If your eyes hurt and you went to a practitioner, they would make you medicine using eyes of someone who had heat. I can't read the rest of it. It's too long.
Yeah, it doesn't show up.
Yeah.
But are they, somebody? Is this somebody who had already died?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'd be really bad if you took somebody who doesn't, that needs them yet.
Yeah. And, I can imagine that there are different ways of practicing it in different areas too.
I can imagine if it's like all religions, there's somebody that takes it the wrong way and starts practicing it, the wrong
Yeah.
way or an evil way, where they're hurting somebody or.
Yeah. There's an old cemetery.
I don't know.
What?
LOS. It's just laughing out loud.
Okay. There's an old cemetery in Portland, not far from where I lived at one point, and it's in a commercial area that looks like it. Frankly, it has biker clubs around it, not the nice kind. I wouldn't purchase anything online, Vivian.
Yeah.
At least not very much, magically or otherwise.
Yeah.
Very rarely do I.
I hope it's healthy eyes, but yet not in a live person is what we're trying to get at.
Right. Freshly dead.
Mm.
But they are in the place.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Now go ahead, William. Sorry.
In the cemetery, there were several things that were strange to me. There were a couple of dead birds that looked strange. There were a couple of pouches that seemed strange, something hanging up, a little bit of a wind chime. Also, the infant bodies of my two oldest uncles that I had no idea where they were buried until I stumbled into them and later got, 20 years later, got confirmation it was them. So I want to go back actually for that. But I got a hold of somebody I knew at the time that was very heavily involved with Santeria. And she said, yeah, those are magic pouches. And I don't know if she said hoodoo or voodoo or something else, but you don't touch them. You leave them alone.
Yeah.
And
There's something called juju magic as well, isn't there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, you leave it alone out of respect for the energy, the practice, what's done. And this person would claim that nasty things could happen to you if you did mess with them. I always have trouble with those kind of curse things. But I can also easily honor the request and
yeah.
Just from a respect point. and I don't want to touch stuff that I don't know what really it is, and what kind of disease am I going to get from it, or
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
place like where this was, is there a sharpened used needle in it?
Oh yeah.
You know, this is the United States after all. So it was interesting, and every once in a while you can go into a cemetery around here and you see something. I think mostly it's from people who don't really know what they're doing, but
Yeah.
I don't know that for sure.
I was going to mention that. That's why I laughed at that comment. It's the United States. Yes, I agree with you totally on that one.
Yeah, that's a whole different show.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But, and I know you're not immune to it over in the UK
Oh
either.
no, same thing here. Yeah, you get the
Yeah.
same thing.
But hey, we like to excel at something over here. So anybody else in the chat have any more to add to this?
I think just the one. Oh, wait. There are reports of pouches being found and left alone in the graveyards at man
Bolskine?
House. Oh yeah, which was Alistair Crowley's home in the Highlands. Oh wow.
Oh, I could
Right.
believe that. I would believe people are still going there to do that.
Oh, I'm sure.
And that
Didn't,
would
like,
be a whole different form of magic, because that would be more of a witchcraft based, I think.
Yeah,
A
definitely.
twisted version of witchcraft.
yeah.
Yeah.
Talk about a sick, destructive human being that ruined a lot of people. I didn't say that out loud, did I?
Yeah, you did.
Don't worry about it, William. Don't worry.
Even though the
I'm
other
not.
one would disagree.
I'm definitely not. With me, what you see is what you get. But, well, I don't know. It'd be interesting if there be a way to find proof. I mean,
Exactly. Good old witchcraft makes all the films and fairy tales.
Yeah.
Roll your eyes out loud, William.
I believe it. I
Mm.
just can't. I spent so many years doing the work and doing what you do for the job and everything, and I can't mask anymore. I don't even want to try. I try not to be rude to people because I actually like the human race.
Mhm.
And most people are deserving of respect and kindness. Even if at the moment I may not think that, but that's usually on me, not on them. And yeah, my facial expressions can get me in trouble, and they can be misunderstood. Sometimes it's because I'm thinking, or I'm inquisitive, or I'm trying to think, oh, that's interesting. Now, where does this come from, or how does that go? And people misinterpret it to think that I'm saying no, or that they're crazy. And so then I just explain if they bring that up. But I've had that happen a couple of times.
Oh, really?
That's my problem as well.
Yeah.
They all say to me, we don't need to know what you don't need to speak. Your face says it all.
Well, let's be.
Well, go ahead, Eric.
Well, me, I have the same problem. I have attention deficit disorder. So if I'm thinking about something, I'm thinking about it pretty long before I give an answer.
Yeah, I have it too. So, and it seems to get worse with age.
Oh God, don't tell me that.
Yeah,
already bad as it is right now.
And I take meds, and have years of practice dealing with things and forming habits to try to get better, and
Yeah.
trying to recognize when I'm no longer intelligible, and trying to shut up at that point. But I don't always catch myself. So
You don't need to anymore, William. You're
yeah.
good.
But I'd like to find out more. So much of this, in a sense, is energy work. Hoodoo, especially, has really got to focus on healing, from what I've
Yeah.
read, as a rule. And yes, I can see where everything would have a dark side to it, possibly. But that doesn't mean it's the main purpose. And I want to believe spiritual and energy healing works.
Mhm.
You hear of cases where it really does. I mean, my dad, who was not a big spiritual or person, or uh, a believer in conspiracy or anything like that, even talked about the healers, where the healers would just, no blood or anything, they'd just reach right in and take out or fix what was wrong, and pull their hand back out, and away you go. Or cut open, and again, no blood, no nothing, fix what was wrong, and away you go. And having it work. But I'd like to see it and know that it really works.
Yeah.
Most of what I've seen, and please, no offense to anybody, I know a lot of people that do energy healing and such, but I don't see usually long-term positive effects. I don't see
Mm.
anything negative, and I might
Hmm.
see something short-term, but I just don't see much long-term. So I'm curious, and I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think that aspect of it is working, or is it?
I think that if you yourself actually and truly believe that it's going to work, it will happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you actually have to have total belief in it yourself.
Yep.
Hmm.
I think the brain is a very powerful thing. We have not even mapped all of it yet. So
It is.
Right.
I used to do a bit of psychology when I was at university,
Mm.
and there was a case of it was like 3 people who were going to have operations. Now they I asked them what they thought. One thought it wasn't going to work at all. One thought possibly it might get a little better, and the other one thought it's going to work. And when they'd done them, that was the outcome of every single one of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it just shows the mind is a very powerful tool, and I believe the mind can fix absolutely anything.
William
Yeah.
Southey says it's called human alchemy. Healing is something I've done in the past. I know it works because I've done it. That's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good to know. Yeah, and it makes sense that we can help each other. Shoot, I was in 8th grade and I wrote a paper for English on parapsychology, and it was basically and now remember, this was the early 70s, very
Wow.
early 70s, and the scientists were talking about thinking, a focus on certain brain waves. You're hooked up to a machine. You're focusing on these certain brain waves and such, and with that, the body was curing broken bones and all kinds of things.
Wow.
But a lot of that was focusing on particular, like I say, brain waves, and I can't remember which ones. It was, again, a long time ago. That was even before I went to New Orleans.
Oh.
So we're talking 55 years ago, probably. That had there was this actual scientific community looking at it,
Yeah.
and we've got government testing with remote viewing and well, and I've had my own experience with that.
Oh.
So many other things that, I mean, I can see where this would certainly have ability to work with some of the claims.
Mhm.
Mm.
I'd like to see more concrete proof.
Yeah, me too. Like more government tests, or at least a test by a university or something.
With well thought out, qualified people,
Yeah.
there are too many people that think they're experts who really don't know very much
Mhm.
Yeah.
and don't know much about safety or anything
I
else
know.
either.
Well,
And
Mona Nicole asked, "What do you think about the power of group healing?" And hi, William or Mary.
yeah, it is, and it's fun to do. Um, I don't know what you guys. What do you think about group healing?
I suppose if everybody believes the same thing, it could work. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like I said, it's all it's a mindset, and it's what you believe.
mm,
Yeah, and I would think
But I do
that-
believe that total belief can actually fix a lot of problems.
okay,
and
and I
this
would
is
think that you get that many people focusing that much more energy into something, you've
Yeah.
got a better chance of making it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I know that it doesn't usually work. We have a religious group here that's supposed Christian. It started, probably in the 50s or early 60s, and they don't believe in doctors. They do their big prayer things and they've buried a lot of kids for
Yeah.
simple things that a trip to the
Yeah.
dentist or a half-hour exam at the doctor's office, the kid would be alive and well.
Yeah.
And they nowadays they are being prosecuted and going to jail for
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
which is good. So the point being that some of this can work, but it seems like it's rare, at least in situations that are more threatening.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't. No, I don't think it could ever work in situations like that. You know, mindset and things like that. Yeah, it can. Maybe depression or things like that. But
Mhm.
major things like that, you need operations. No, no.
Yeah.
William Salty says, "My hands hold on to the greatest healing power. Sometimes I don't know I'm using it. I put my hands on my wife's arm and the other day, and her arm became hot from the energy passing through my arm. I was watched TV at the time, and I didn't. It was healing her arm. I imagine he says it didn't know that it was healing her arm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, interesting comments. Oh, so I think, Annette, that's for you. You mean more like psychological,
Yeah.
the
For
healing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And this definitely be you, William." She's
Yeah,
asking,
it is.
Nicole's asking, is remote viewing and what was
Oh,
it?
there was another piece in that too.
Yeah,
Astro projection, astro travel.
the same thing.
Yeah. Well, they're a little different. Okay.
We'll go with that one though.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had Reiki done to me a few times,
Oh yeah.
but I've got a good friend in Devon, right on the gateway to Dartmoor, and so when I'm over there, we always get together and go explore the moor for a while.
Oh, wow.
And
Yeah.
I love Dartmoor. at the oh, there was a reason I brought that up. See what I mean about ADHD?
He's a Reiki healer, is what you were saying.
Oh no, this is remote viewing. Okay, now I got it.
Okay.
He has different entities that hang around him. I live in a house that's like Grand Central Station with them passing through. Even though this is not an old house, it was built in a field. It's surrounded by other houses built in the same field. But, you know, my parents had it built. Nobody's died here. And mom was seeing things. But I'll get a message from him every once in a while. Who's the so-and-so hanging out with you? And I'll say, oh, yeah, tell Rose hi. I see her there. Or tell the kid to leave your crutches alone. Or, you know, things like that. And just, it's fun. But I've also done some pretty good experiments with it that have been pretty telling. So, but in a sense, I'm not trying to take us away from the topic. It just sort of
well, like I said, eventually it all goes in a different way anyways, because you can only talk about certain things along, you know, a certain amount of time. So.
Well, I was hoping we'd have enough feedback from the guests or from our own collective knowledge and, you know, we've only got 18 minutes left, so I think we're doing pretty well on the topic, but because I like to keep it that way. But
earlier you were talking about going in and fixing it. I've seen some, I'm guessing that's probably just TV shows, where they actually take their hand and go into the belly button and pull out stuff and stuff like that. Was that what your dad was talking about, or?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I actually read a few, going back a few years, about spiritual doctors.
Right.
That was quite interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I don't know what to make of it because I haven't actually seen it.
No.
She told me not to pick from the jar of doom. So
right. So go ahead, Annette.
Yeah, spiritual doctors. Yeah, where they sort of brought a spirit in, and then it supposedly removed what was bad.
Yeah, and I would assume that's part of what hoodoo practice is meant to be doing. And
possibly, yeah.
Yeah. And maybe voodoo as well, because, I mean, religious practices aren't all about just worshiping gods. It's about creating outcomes as well.
Yeah.
And voodoo, I think, is also focused on just another form of basically manipulating energy for a desired outcome.
Yeah.
Which can involve anything from love to health to finances to whatever. Be interesting to know how much of it is really used to curse people. But,
I don't know.
And even with that, I wonder how often it would work if you didn't truly believe in the curse, which also meant you'd have to know it was leveled against you.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Curses. You'd have to absolutely, totally believe it for it to anything bad to happen to you. Yeah, you really would.
That's what I think.
Well, I know this one guy that said he was cursed by a voodoo priestess or whatever, and he said that he just had a horrible life. Well, is that the curse or just the bad choices that you make? You know what I mean?
Right. Or is it a self-fulfilling prophecy in a sense?
Exactly, yeah.
Psychologically, we just go with that. Oh, Brian, there is talk of, we talked about it earlier, where there are reports of cases, even not that long ago, where people are drugged so that they appear dead. They're often even buried. And then the person who's the quote master digs them up, gives them the antidote, and they are then basically mental slaves to that master although there have been cases of people breaking free and talking about it. There was one a few years ago, and it was in regular press that I saw this. It wasn't a big news item, but it wasn't a conspiracy page. How true it is and how much that happens, I don't know. But I'm thinking that's where, hey, Roger, I think that's where the whole zombie idea comes through. It isn't actually a dead person that's been reanimated. It's a living person that's put into a deep sleep.
Yeah, with certain powders and stuff to like a drug.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So if that's real, and what I read is real, not just a story, I think that's what it could be about. You know, we're really good as a species at taking something.
Yeah,
Oh,
pretty much. It depends on what films you watch.
okay. Yeah. Oh, I thought that the films, I thought they killed the person and then they did something. I haven't watched the films for a long, long time.
No, there's been a
So-
few films where they actually showed that it's a powder that they use, and
Okay. Cool.
Fact that against it, it's the same with films, isn't it? I mean, they depict all the worst possible scenarios, don't they?
Oh yeah, that's what sells.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
And-
everyone looks at it like that and thinks, well, that's what it is. So that's how it goes, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, you know, a commercial product is about making money.
yeah,
Truth and honesty come in second.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
If you've got a good documentarian doing a well-researched program, that's different. But often those show up in public broadcasting or occasionally National Geographic.
yeah.
But, the rest of them I get a little suspicious about.
Can imagine.
The older I get, the more cynical I get, I guess. But partly it's just my background. I mean, I've got a background. I love science. I have a degree in history, my bachelor's, which is a very fact-based, research-based practice. My master's is in a total different field, but again, it's research, it's outcome, it's prove it driven, viable proof, real hard evidence, you know, things like that. And so I need that before I'll say something is real or not. No matter how much I trust and like the source, I need something really tangible.
Yeah, concrete.
Yeah. So I've a bit of a curmudgeon skeptic that way.
All right. Well, we're going to do this right now. Who wants to do the jar doom? Who wants to pick?
Annette, you do it.
Go on then, Eric.
All right. Tell them stop.
Stop.
Oh, jeez. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6.
4.
Yeah. We're going to do Orbs debate.
Oh, no.
Everybody's favorite.
Oh, I'm glad I'm not doing that show.
Neither am I. So.
It's
But now it says, Annette picked it. I was supposed to say this. Vivian told me Annette picked it. It's her fault. If people don't like it, that's what.
Yeah, blame me, Eric. Go on.
Yeah, we don't know. We didn't see him actually pull out the one you said.
No, we didn't. So
You know?
it's not yours.
So there's room to blame Eric, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's for next week's show, Brian.
Yeah, actually, Brad, that is. That's your topic
Yeah,
next week.
Yeah, it's your topic next week, Brian.
It's gonna be Viv, Bri, Wayne, and Tim next week, Tuesday, talking about the orbs debate.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be
Interesting.
contentious.
But I know we're not supposed to talk about Tuesday, but I've heard people say a lot of different things now. So I guess we have to define what an actual orb is. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Now the ones you see with your physical eye,
Mm.
those aren't dust or lens flares or dust reflected off light particularly. No, it can be if it's like a dirt road with car headlights. I mean that kind of dust, but that's pretty obvious. But when you see a big or even a small ball floating around with your own two eyes, there's something there that's very likely a paranormal type of an experience. Maybe not, but I think the likelihood is a lot better. If you only see it through your camera lens, well, then it's probably has to do with the camera
Yeah.
Mm.
and reflections off bugs. Or I was watching a show or a movie that had fairies and all that. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's right. But
But fairies and things, a lot of it. And I thought those look like when yellow jackets or hornets or wasps are around my security camera.
mhm.
Things like that. And no, that's not a fairy. That's a bee. Or that's
Yeah.
been incorporated in. You can see it's on top of the movie.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they practice hoodoo or voodoo.
I don't
No,
know.
I'm just being stupid. Never mind. Trying to get back on topic.
Yeah. Well, there's not much
Lost.
time left, so we can pretty much talk about whatever we want.
Okay. It's an interesting field, all of it. I mean, I've always wished that I could have magical powers to do things and to fly and to. Man, it would be so much cheaper to travel if I could just
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
hop
absolutely.
in. You wouldn't have to take a lot of baggage. You just pop up whatever you wanted to wear.
Yeah. Or a backpack. There you go.
Yeah, and yeah, it's been a great disappointment in life. I don't have those abilities.
Well, maybe you're in.
Yeah, we all need those powers, don't we?
Well,
Yeah.
maybe in our next reincarnation.
Definitely.
Yeah. What did you say about reincarnation?
I said maybe in our next reincarnation it will be.
Yeah.
Right?
We'll all come back with superpowers.
Yeah.
No, you're not. I know that for a fact. I know cats dream. I know dogs dream.
I know that seems like they do, but I don't know that we're not putting a meaning to something that they do that isn't accurate. I don't know.
Something I should write down. Maybe that's a discussion we can have one day.
Yeah.
Write stuff down.
Because I'd like to hear more about that, actually.
Actually, that is an interesting subject, that one, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And how we know that they do or don't. And what does it look like for them then compared to us?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you could tell our dogs. You could see that it looked like they were dreaming at times,
Mhm.
but I don't know if they were.
And also, it reminds me of a time that my cat sighed. And I'm like, I see cats sigh all the time, and I know a reaction in a human being that's a sign of relief or depression, and you go, yeah. I'm like, is that what they're feeling? Is that why they do it? Or,
For me, it's sometimes just a catching my breath.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
that's
I've had my dog moved its legs like it's running, but
Lorna agrees with me. I wrote
Yeah.
it down, Lorna. So that and your astral projection, Lorna, that she wanted me to write down.
Yeah, dreams are interesting. I think most of the time it's just
Food.
our brain debooting
Yeah.
or defragging. But sometimes it means, I think a lot of times it means it's symbolic or showing us some of what we're going through in life, some of the questions and stuff.
Mm.
Yeah. But
All right. Well, since we
Well,
only
this
got a
has
few
been
minutes
fun.
left, you can end it here if you want to.
Okay. I'm glad I got the chance to meet you, Annette.
And you, William. Yeah, that's been a good chat.
And,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and everybody have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for watching.